the weather is going to be good.
Okay.
Okay? Now, of course, you want to say, well, I really want to go to the lake, and if the weather is good, I'm going. Right?
Right.
Okay, now, what's the relationship between the claim the weather's good tomorrow and I'm going to the lake?
The relationship is
Is it strong or weak?
it's strong.
Okay, if the weather is good tomorrow, then we're in good shape, right?
Right.
But if we're planning whether or not to go, if for example you had no internet or anything and you were thinking about going to the lake, but you needed to know if it was going to be good weather, and you look outside and maybe it's sunny, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you say, oh, it's going to be good weather now. Now, is that certain?
No.
No. It's probable based on the information you have, right?
It is.
It looks sunny, but is it certain that it won't cloud up and rain in a half an hour?
No.
Okay, right. Okay. So that's an inductive argument. It looks sunny, therefore it is sunny. Is only a probable, therefore it will be sunny for the rest of the day. That's only a probable statement because it could be wrong, right?
Okay.
Okay. The relationship between it's sunny and it's good enough to stay out all day at the lake is a probabilistic relationship, not a deductive relationship, but an inductive relationship.
Okay.
Why? Because it's not necessarily the case that you got all that you need to be certain of the conclusion. A deductive argument is one where if the conclusion is true, if the premise is true, then the conclusion is absolutely certain.
Okay.
There's no chance that you're going to be disappointed if you want to go to the lake because it's good weather and it's going to stay good weather, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that, of course, we know is only based upon the weather report, and the weatherman always gives you, what do they say? They usually say something under 100% probability for whatever event they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a difference, a kind of a homespun difference between deduction and induction. Okay, so when we talk about deductive logic, we're trying to think about what makes it certain. And one thing that makes it certain is the relationship between the premises and the conclusion. Now, the other thing that makes it certain is the truth of the premises. Like if I tell you, Socrates was a man, right? And all men are women, therefore Socrates is a woman. Is that a deductively valid argument or not?
So we were told that pretend that the premises are true.
Good. So that's the point. That the pretense is one of the essences of it. You have to assume that the premises are true, and then you sort of work out the logic of that. But if the premises are not true, then the conclusion, still we don't know if it's true or false, right? Even if it's deductively valid, we don't know if it's true or false. But we don't care when we're working out deduction, right? So this may have been what he's talking about. The intuition is about the truth or falsity of the actual statement.
Okay.
The logic is about the relationship between the premises and conclusion, regardless of whether the premises are true or not. Now, why is that important? Well, one way to think of it is that if you have an idea and you're wondering if you should figure out if the idea is right or wrong, and that's very complicated. Maybe it's a scientific idea, right? You're wondering, or a social policy idea, right? Should abortion be made legal, or at illegal or whatever they're talking about. Now, what do we want to do? Well, one thing we want to do is work out the consequences of that. If we make it legal, then what other things are we doing in society? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we find out that the consequences are terrible, then logically we wouldn't want to make it legal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So sometimes we can work out the consequences, the logical consequences, the deductive consequences, and we can find out that they're bad. So we can save ourselves a lot of trouble because we don't have to worry about enforcing it into policy, making it true. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's just leave that go because that's getting a little complicated. But does that make any sense to you in terms of having a better idea of how we should
do
lead
you
our
mean by a
intuitions aside?
deductive is as a deduction is? So you mean like looking at the points that aren't so positive, or
Well, we should look at points that may or may not be positive to decide what the ramifications are, what the implications are, what the consequences of doing something might be. Right?
Okay.
Should I marry this person? Well, now let's see. What would happen if I married this person? Let's logically think it through. This woman or man doesn't have any money. This woman or man has had bad relationships in the past.
Mm-hmm.
This woman or man has treated me badly in certain moments.
Mm.
So if someone has all those traits,
Right.
then should I marry them? Not based upon how much I love them at the moment they say good things to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But thinking down the road to see what the consequences are going to be. So you want to look at the bad consequences as well as the good ones,
Okay.
because you're trying to avoid bad and you're trying to get good, right? Okay. So that's what deduction is trying to do. It's trying to give you a structure to see what the logic of a particular situation is, so you know whether or not to proceed along those lines. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So, what is it that allows us to see the relationship between the premises and the conclusion that we're thinking about? What does that?
Deductive reasoning.
Right, and deduction is about structure.
Okay.
Or form. It's not about truth or falsity.
Okay.
Although it involves truth or falsity because it says if the premises are true, the conclusion has to be true, but it doesn't make any assumptions about the truth except to pretend. Right? So, what is this thing called structure? Well, it has something to do with truth tables. Have you talked about truth tables?
Oh, we're doing them now.
Okay, it sounds like that's fun, right?
Oh God, I don't like it.
Okay, I'm being sarcastic.
I know.
I'm with you there. I don't like it either, but I understand why it's useful. Okay. But first of all, one way to look at this is not through truth tables, but through logical form. And you've already seen logical form because you have names for certain argument types. Like, do you remember names of valid arguments that you might recall?
Names. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. Let me think. So there's. Oh God. Yeah. The symbols. Are you talking about the symbols? What they mean? Like. So,
yes, the symbols what they mean, right?
Okay. So I forgot what they call it, but the squiggly line means not. Right. I don't know if you're talking about this. And then
well, those
there's
are
a
used
disjunction.
Yeah, those little squiggly lines and the arrow
Yeah.
or the horseshoe. Sometimes
Conditional right, and then the
and
disjunction,
the
and
and
yeah,
sign,
and yeah,
and the or sign,
yes,
and the therefore sign. Right, all those are indicators. Right,
yeah.
they're logical indicators. Right,
Hmm.
but then you put in also the p's and q's and r's. Remember?
Yes, P's and Q's. Yeah.
Right. So when they used to say, do you know your P's and Q's? That means, do you understand
Now
things?
I
And
know that. Now I know where
yeah,
it came from. I never knew
exactly.
before.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is good. You get the point here.
Yeah.
Um, so the way that the P's and Q's and R's relate to each other, in other words, the order in which they follow in there, right? Which ones have a squiggly line, which ones have an or, which ones are below the conclusion line. That structure is what we're talking about in terms of logical form. Does the P, is it if P then Q, or is it if Q then P? Is it P or R? Is it Q or R?
Yeah. Right.
Is
Right.
it, that's what we mean by logical form. Okay. Now, did you buy a textbook or do you just
The
rely on?
textbook I uploaded. That's the only thing we work from.
Okay. Do you have it? Do you have a printer that you can print out a page?
Yeah, I can print out a page if you tell me which page.
Okay. So one page you should print out probably
Okay.
is the page that shows you the valid logical forms.
Did you
Notice
look through it?
I looked through this. Let me see if I can find a page number. You don't need to print it out now, but it's page. Okay, here it is. Yes, I got it right here. Okay, hold on. It's page
All right.
227.
All right. Let me write that down here. Boy, this makes you write messy. 227. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. So page 227 gives you the logical forms. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen if I can.
Absolutely.
This is,
Hmm.
yeah, right. How do I do this? I keep forgetting. Share screen. Okay, here. Tutoring. No, that's not right. Wait a minute.
I
Okay.
always put entire workspace or it doesn't work much for me.
Entire screen.
Yeah, entire. That's what I do, and then it works.
Okay, then I can bring it up, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, good. I'm going to share this.
Okay. All right. Yes,
Okay,
I'm
I'm
ready.
sharing, and then I'm going to bring up this. You see this?
Yeah.
I just okay,
Yes, I see it.
and okay, I got it. Eliminate this. Okay, there we go. Oops. That didn't help. There it is. You see it?
Yeah, this is page 227. Yes, I see it.
Exactly. Okay. So these are the six basic uh, valid argument forms. And by form, we mean we're not telling you what P and Q means. We're just saying, like in algebra, we're just saying X always means the same thing in the same equation, right? If you say X minus 4 equals 5X, X is going to mean the same in both of the on both sides of the equation.
Right. Okay.
We're not going to do too much more with algebra except that basic understanding. Okay?
So X means the same things on both sides.
Exactly. So
Okay.
P in this first one, I'm going to copy. Okay. So P in this first one, modus ponens, always means the same thing in premise one and premise two, right?
Yeah.
Now, when we go over to the next one, premise one and conclusion, P can mean something different from what it did in the modus ponens.
Okay.
In fact, P can mean any sentence you can imagine. Anything. It's raining today. I'm a terrible person. God exists. God doesn't exist. Anything. And that's why that arguments are useful because they can be applied to any content, any meaning of a sentence. But the only thing is that if you have a P in one place in an argument, it has to mean the same in the other place.
Okay.
Okay? So it's like algebra in that way.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right?
The words
So,
ponus, modus ponus, modus tollens. I just don't know why we use these. Are they Latin? Why don't we?
don't worry about the names,
All right.
except that we could call it Swiss cheese and cheddar if we wanted.
All right.
But these have a historical origin, and everyone who studied philosophy understands what we mean by it, and that's the only reason we use it so we can communicate.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So it's Latin. If you don't speak Latin, don't worry. Now, this, however, is English, as we know, right? And
Yeah.
these have reasons why we call them what we do, right? So, in denying the antecedent, where's the antecedent in this particular argument? What does antecedent mean?
So the antecedent would be the like the P or the Q. It would be the
No, it
not the
could be either.
conclusion. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Antecedent. What does antecedent mean? It means what?
I thought it meant the premise.
No.
Okay.
Although you've got the right idea because premises come before the conclusion, and antecedent means before. So you got that right. But you should be only looking at the premise itself. And there's not going to be an antecedent if there's not two variables. Okay? So the antecedent, and if it's not an if then, by the way. So the antecedent in the first premise is the one that comes before. And that would be which one?
P. Oh,
Say again?
okay. So well, it's the one that comes before.
Right, I think you got it, but I couldn't hear it clearly.
I said P.
Yeah, right, exactly. It comes before in this pair of premises, a pair of variables, right?
Right.
Well, if we're denying the antecedent, that means, and I'm going to have to erase something here. I'm going to erase it all. If we're denying the antecedent,
Okay.
what is it that we're doing and where are we doing it? What does it mean to deny something?
So we discard it
Okay,
to
Okay,
deny
great.
to not believe something, to deny something, to
okay. So we're actually denying the truth of something, right?
yes.
Okay. So where are we doing that in this example?
Oh, I see. Where the underneath there's this the not P.
Okay. Not what?
Not P. Not
Good.
yeah.
And not Q, but that follows later. That's the conclusion, right?
Right.
So we're still in the premises, and we're denying P, right?
Yeah.
That's why we call it denying the antecedent.
Oh, okay.
Now, what about the other one, affirming the consequent?
Oh, okay. Yes. So I think that arrow means if is that an if or is it
It's actually an if then.
if then?
Because you have two things. You have if P then Q. So the arrow.
It's then Q.
There can't be an arrow if you're not going anywhere, right?
Right. So it's
So
then Q.
If P then Q, you're going to the Q logically,
Yes.
right? Or you're claiming, and so because P requires Q, if you have P, you have to have Q, or at least you do have Q. right?
Mm-hmm.
So then if you're affirming the Q, therefore, what are you also affirming logically?
That it's not P.
No, no, now we're in the affirming the consequent.
Okay. So if you if ask me the question again, please.
If we're affirming Q, what are we also affirming? Logically, because if P, then Q.
Then P. Then.
Right.
Okay.
So we're affirming the consequent to get to our conclusion. Just like we're denying the antecedent to get to our conclusion in the other one.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So the interesting thing here is that this is not just it happens to be true. It's not just, okay, um, it's not, if it's raining, then uh, grass is green. Okay? Now you might think that because grass dies when it's not raining. Well, but the rain itself doesn't cause the grass to be green, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although it contributes to it. That's a complicated matter. So let's talk about something else. Grass is green, and water is wet. So if let's say grass is green is G, water is wet is W, right? Therefore something else. The sky is blue. So you have W, water is wet. G, grass is green. Therefore B, sky is blue. Now, is that a deductive argument? Is it necessarily the case that if water is wet and grass is green, the sky has to be blue?
No.
No, right. Even though the premises are true and even though the conclusion is true as well. Right?
Yes.
There's no relation of necessity between the premises and the conclusion.
Yeah.
Now, what's important about these logical forms is that there is a relation of necessity. If the premises are true, then there's no way, logically, that the conclusion can be false. It's necessary. And that's the beauty of deduction.
But like with the one you just mentioned, they have nothing really to do with each other.
Exactly. Now there is a relationship of probability between grass is green and the sky is and it's raining, for example, right?
Right.
But even then, it's not an immediate relationship because the grass, it could have it could have been a drought and grass is still going to be brown for the next 3 days while it's raining, right? So it's even there. It's not an immediate relationship. It's something else.
Yeah.
It's biological, you might say. But the point is, yes, that there has to be something logically tight about the relationship between the premises in order for the conclusion to be proven.
Okay.
Okay, that's what we're doing here. We're setting up logical circumstances, logical forms where the relationship holds, so that if the premises are actually true, the conclusion has to be true.
Okay.
So we can use an example. Let's try a kind of an ordinary kind of case. If it's raining, I'm going to the lake tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. If it's not raining, I'm going to the lake tomorrow. There we go.
Okay.
No, I'll put it differently. If it's good weather, I'll go to the lake tomorrow. There we go. We can eliminate the not there. If
Okay.
it's good weather, then I'm going to the lake tomorrow. So we might put that as G. If G, then L.
I can't see what you're
I know.
writing.
I'm writing it down. I'm just saying it to you because I'm right. I don't want to write all that.
Okay.
Okay. Let me get back to it. Let me try it the other way. Let me get back. So I'm going to stop sharing,
Yep.
and since we know where we're trying to go on this, I can write this. So if it's good weather, then I'm going to the lake, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's something that I'm thinking of yesterday. That's what I thought yesterday. I'm going, right? If it's good weather, right? And then I wake up and guess what? It's sunny out. Therefore, what?
Going to the lake.
Exactly. This is very practical. This is what we do to get by in life. If we're not doing this, then we're heading for trouble.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
So I like to tell students that this is something you already know how to do. If you didn't, you wouldn't have made it this far, right?
Right.
A kid knows when he's hungry, he has to come home so mom can fix dinner, right?
Right.
He makes the connection. In fact, kids think that that's the only way they're going to be fed, which of course is not true. They could go to the store, they could beg, they could do all sorts of things. Um,
Mhm.
but in a good situation, they know what the premises are going to be. So this is very practical. This is not something that is completely useless, as you might think if you're just doing calculations.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So then, do you have any questions either about what we just talked about or about the things that you know you're supposed to know but feel confused about that we can
No.
use what we've just spoken about to learn?
No. You've just. I understand what you're saying. We can go
Okay.
forward. Yeah.
Okay. So let's. Do you have an idea of how to go forward then?
Look at his book, and it basically it mixes me up everywhere.
Okay.
So I guess we could. Do you want to start with the? He goes into the trees later.
Yeah. Don't let's not do trees. If we don't understand how to formulate word problems into symbols, we won't get
So
anywhere.
we'll do some more word problems, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, can you think of an example of some of the other forms? For example, let's do the well. Which example is this, by the way? Which example did we just cover? If we go back to the other one here.
If I
Oh, did I?
forgot.
Wait a minute. I have to share my screen. Damn. How do I do this again? Where is it? There it is. Oh, I'll stop sharing. Okay, I can do this. So here we go. So which example did we just
Is this right?
did we
The
just
arrow.
say again?
The arrow.
Okay, but what's the name of the form that we used?
Okay.
So
Conditional.
we
Is
said
that conditional or
if the weather is good, then we're going to the lake, right?
right?
And we woke up. Whoops, there we go. And the weather was good. Therefore, we were going to the lake, right? Which
Right.
form is that?
Um, is it conditional? I don't know. Conditional?
Well, read one of the forms that are actually there. Are you seeing the page 227?
No, you stopped sharing. Remember?
Oh,
So
I thought I th- really because it says I haven't stopped. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to share screen again
okay.
and I'm going to share the whole screen, entire screen.
All
There
right.
we go. I'm going to share.
I'll let you know when I get the sign to accept it. It
Right.
asks me first.
Huh.
I
I
don't know
can't make
why
it.
it's saying that you, because it said stop sharing when you had to go to this board, remember? Because we couldn't get it
Right.
back of
And
it.
now it doesn't allow me to share anymore. So I'm going to try it once
Oh,
again. So share screen, entire screen, share. Can you see my entire screen?
no. It didn't give me the signal. Usually it says accept it or not. And it didn't give me the accept it.
Okay, it says error while
Oh,
initiating publisher. What does that mean?
okay.
Okay, we don't know. So we're going to try this again. Share screen, entire screen, share. It won't share.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to cancel. And then there's an error while initiating publisher.
If you ever want to go to Google Docs, we could do it that way.
Okay, can you? How do we do that?
Oh, okay.
What do
That's easy for me. Hold
I?
on
Okay,
one
you do that.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. Go here. I'm gonna call this Tutor.
The problem with Google Docs is that it's hard to do the stencil.
Oh,
Maybe, but go ahead and let's try. Maybe it will work.
okay. All right. Share. Oh, it's coming through now. Your sharing screen looks like it's trying to go through at this point. Believe it or not. It says
Hmm.
loading. It's so weird. It says loading. Oh, I don't know what's going on.
All right.
That's weird. All right, let me. And then it ruined.
Error again.
Error. Okay.
Let's ignore this and go to the other.
All right. All right. And then I'm going to share it. Okay. I got it. Coming there. And so then all you have to do is. There you go. And click the link, and then you'll be on.
Okay,
All right.
good.
I'll meet
Now
you
the question is, will it take me out of?
No, you. Everybody
Yes.
leaves it up. You can just leave it up, and then we
What
just.
I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in um,
Okay.
a new here. Okay, now I'm crit tutor. That's what we want to be,
Critical.
right?
Yeah. Critical. I just. Yeah. Uh huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I can write. Nope, I can't write.
Well, let's see. Is there a pen? Highlight. Can you just type, or do you have to?
Email. Yeah.
Should be able to. I
There it
never.
is.
Okay. Is
Do you
that?
see it?
Yes, I see it. Okay.
Okay. Now we're gonna have to put up with my difficulties with typing on this very small keyboard. I'm in North Carolina now, so
Oh my God! Really?
I've got a very small computer, and it's
Oh.
like trying to work with jewelry beads or something.
Ha ha ha.
Okay,
North Carolina.
so we said this gives you. Oh, wait a minute, it wasn't L, it was W. Let's keep this. W equals if W then L, and indeed W. Oops. And therefore L, right?
Mm-hmm.
There should be a line under L. Oh, there is one. Huh? There are three lines there. So that's okay. So this you see four dots there?
Let's see. I see W, arrow L, then a W, then an L.
Okay. So if do you see four dots under the second W?
No.
Okay. All right. So just pretend. I don't know how to do this. Let's
Take your time.
let's pretend that that is a therefore. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So then we're here, right? So which of the of the forms on page 227 does that is that an example of?
Okay, hold on. Go back. Oh, I lost 227.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Okay, that's not going to help you.
I think I'm going to try to get you for another 30 minutes.
Okay.
All right, give me a minute. All right. So that'll be 2 to 2:30. Okay. All right, 2 on critical thinking. Okay, got it. We're good. We've got another 30 minutes. Okay.
Okay. And they just told me that
Yeah,
I need to accept or reject. I'm going to go back and
okay. We might have to log off and then log back on too. I don't know how you guys do
right.
it. It's up to you.
I don't. Let's see. Okay. So I just accepted it, and
Great.
we'll just
Great.
see what happens.
Okay.
All right. So the point is that this has a name, and it's the same name as what we saw on the page, which is if P, then Q, P, therefore Q. Right?
Now the therefore, what sign is that supposed to be?
It's supposed to simply be the line that it precedes the conclusion.
Show me. Would you show me that at the on the our learning session so I can see it? Oh, just
Right.
the line. Got
Yeah,
it. All right.
it's not. It's almost like an addition
Just the
problem.
line. Okay.
Yeah. So it's where the addition problem line would be, the sum line.
So
Right.
you would.
Yeah, right there. Right. Good.
So let me just see what you're like. So you mean like that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just put the minus, I guess. I don't know. It's up to you.
Okay. Well.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Right. Okay. That's.
I'm
good.
bad as it is, so I don't want to have to learn more. so
Yeah, I
don't
know.
have-
Well, it's
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. Okay.
And I can understand why you want to keep it everything as you should. Now, the complication, of course, is that the
Right.
symbols have changed.
What do you mean?
Well, W isn't P, L isn't Q, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same form.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah,
And
the
that's
letters,
ter-
the
that's
letters, yeah.
right. It's terribly important because the
Okay.
P's and Q's in this case are symbols of symbols, in a way.
Yes.
Because any symbol will work there as long as you got what?
Um, I don't know the word for it as long as
Okay, as long as you got the arrow there
Okay.
in the right place.
All right.
And as long as the relationship of the W and L is the same as the relationship between P and Q, which means that
Right.
the P or the W is in the second premise slot, and the W, if W then L, is in the corresponding if P then Q slot, which is here, right? And that if you put the Q down as a conclusion, then you have to put the L down as a conclusion, or it's not the same form.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So don't be confused that there are multiple symbols here.
Okay.
What's important is the structure. This is what he means by the form, the logical form.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes. Okay.
All right. So then there's also another form that we can easily write here. What is remember the modus tollens? That's a terribly important form, although the Latin may not seem very memorable, but it's terribly important. It's probably the second most familiar and common logical form that we talk about in elementary logic, and it's called modus tollens.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's it looks almost like the modus ponens here. Just remember that ponens precedes tollens the way that P precedes T. You might just use that as a device to remember, right? So the second one on the list, the one on the right instead of the left side, is modus tollens, and that's almost the same, except that, of course, it's very different.
Modus ponus, ponus, modus tollens. Okay.
Right. So if you put this down as the first premise, it's the same, right? Modus ponens is here, modus tollens is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference here because it's no longer the P that goes in there, but to remain valid, which means to remain reliable, right?
Right.
Squiggly, which is the negation sign, plus Q. So if P requires Q, and that's another way of saying if P then Q. If P requires Q, that means you can't do without Q if you're going to have P, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to a dinner and you're supposed to wear an evening dress, you say required attire, right?
Right.
Evening dress, right? That means that if you don't wear your evening dress, guess what?
Can't go.
You can't get in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that means that if Q, then not P. And that's the same relationship
But why does it
between,
say not Q above it?
because that's your premise.
Oh. That's where they get me, so we better go over this a little bit more.
Okay, so we're just imagining different situations in life that we want to use logical form to explain what we already do. If they say fancy dress is required for entry, or vaccination card is required for entering the store, right?
Right.
That means that if you don't have the vaccination card, you can't get in.
Yes.
And you already know that because you understand what the sign means.
Okay.
Okay? And the logical explanation for that is that there's a certain logical form that makes the relationship obvious,
Mm-hmm.
explicit, right? Now, if you say you rely on hunches, well, this is one case where the hunch is quite accurate. You know that if it says formal attire required, you know what to do. Go home and change or do something else for the evening,
Yes.
right? Or if it says vaccination required, and they're going to show proof, that means you better show your card or you can't get in, right?
Right.
So if you don't, then you can't. That's the reason for the negation. That's the reason for not Q.
Okay.
But that's just a possible situation. I mean, maybe it's not the case that the story you're concerned about in this case, the actual situation you're concerned about in real life, doesn't actually reflect that logical situation, right? In which case the premises are false, and there may be another conclusion that you want to draw. So the truth trees are really ways of describing possible situations. Are the premises really true or are they not? And whether or not the premises are really true, or put it the other way, if the negation of a possible premise is true, then that's what you want to consider in real life. So, for example, when we say not Q, right?
Yeah.
What is true if Q is false?
P.
Well, okay. Actually, in this particular case, it wouldn't be true. That wouldn't be the case. But if we just take, see, the other thing is I can only work down a column here. If you just take not Q, if we're just talking about not Q, right?
Right.
What is what is it that's false? If we're going to assume this,
So if it's I don't know how to put it. If it's in the statement that it's P and not Q, it's in this.
okay,
Then
right. So we're going to forget about that. We're
Oh,
going to go down here
okay.
and okay, how do we get down? How do we get down here? Here.
Oh.
Okay, now why can't I? Oh, here it is. Okay. So now,
Okay.
just in this universe, we say, right? Forget about those premises we were talking about before. Only consider this, right? What is it that's false here?
Yeah. So if I don't know how to put it, but if the statement says it's not Q, it's um, I'm I'm going to the store. I'm not going to my house. So and Q is not going to my house. It's just
Okay, before you figure out a particular statement that would fit in here, just think about these as symbols.
okay.
What is not true here?
P or Q.
Q.
Okay.
That's all we know,
Okay.
right?
But why does it say
So,
not P after it? That's
well, because we're not talking about that right now.
okay. All
See,
right.
we can use Q in any environment whatsoever to mean anything we want.
Okay.
But the important thing is that we know if we just add certain logical connectives here, or once again, if we put it in a relationship to other sentences, we know a very minimal but necessary thing about Q. If you put the squiggle next to it, that means that what is false is Q.
Yes.
Now, what is true here?
P is Q. True.
What is true? What is true here? We don't know anything about P. We don't know anything about R. A, B, C, D. All these are irrelevant right now. What is true?
That it's not Q.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, all
See,
right.
this is like who's buried in Grant's tomb?
Okay.
Who's buried in Grant's tomb?
You're asking me?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Grant?
Yes. This is very simple.
All right. All right.
Okay. People usually think that's really funny.
That is funny. You got me cracking up at that one.
Okay.
I'm
good.
laughing because you
But-
say Grant.
Right.
You have to say
Exactly.
Grant anyways.
Right. So, but the point is that don't make it too complicated.
Okay.
We're just dealing with symbols.
All right.
But the fact that they are symbols, that doesn't mean we don't know anything about them. The fact that we don't know what they stand for does not mean we don't know anything about them.
Okay.
Okay? So, this modus tollens is saying that something is required for us to have something else, and that requirement doesn't hold. In other words, we don't have that requirement. Therefore, we don't have the something else. Right?
Okay.
If we want P, then we're going to have Q. But we don't have Q, which is to say that not Q is true.
Okay.
Therefore, we don't have P, which is to say not P is true.
So that gets me right there. When
Why?
I see not Q, not P next to each other, just the way it looks, I don't know.
Well, remember that these are simply lines in an argument. So we're saying that the world is such that there is no P. or the
Right.
situation before us is such so there is no P. And before we went into this argument, we didn't know that. But what we did know was that if you have P, then you have to have Q.
Hmm.
Okay, that's one thing we knew. And we've looked around and we noticed that there's no Q. This tells us something we didn't know before.
Okay.
Namely, there's no P.
Hmm.
So, does that make sense?
We might have to do it one more time, the last example towards the end.
Okay, so let me give you lots of examples here.
All right.
Okay, in this case, let's say P equals X is alive. Something is alive, okay?
Okay.
Q equals X has, well, if you're in biology class, you know that we need to have carbon, okay? Or let's make it better. Well, let's see. Yeah, carbon-based elements or organisms, right? All live organisms have carbon, okay?
Okay.
So, if you didn't know about this, and you didn't know if there was an alive, if you came upon it, if you were on a spaceship and you came upon across a planet, right, and you were worried about aliens, right? So if P, if something is alive, then it has to have carbon, right?
Okay.
But you did a test. You know, you've got this. Not only do you have a wonderful spaceship that can get you there, you also it also contains an instrument that tests for carbon on the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you found out, interestingly, that there's no carbon there.
Okay.
So what do you know?
P is alive and there's no carbon.
Well, no, wait. If something is alive, that's an if. Remember,
If P is alive,
if then, right?
then it
If
has
there's any
carbon.
life, in other words.
Yeah, if P is alive, then it has carbon.
No,
There's
no. P means anything is alive. In this case, X is alive.
okay. If X
So
is
if
alive.
anything is alive, if life exists on this planet, then there has to be some carbon there.
Okay.
But there's no carbon. Therefore, what?
Then it's not alive.
Nothing is alive. Here we're saying P means X is alive, and X means nothing definite. X is just a variable here. Right? So for us right now, X is simply anything. So anything that is alive, right?
Okay.
So anything that is alive has to be able to has to have carbon in its surroundings,
Okay.
right? Including in its body, right?
Okay.
But there's no carbon anywhere. We're assuming that this is a fail-proof instrument. It's omniscient with regard to carbon. It knows anything that you need to know in terms of carbon's presence, right?
Yeah.
So there's no carbon. So what does that say?
Then nothing is alive.
Yes. So do we have to worry about aliens?
No.
Right. So this is very useful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very natural. If you were on that spaceship, you would understand what you needed to find out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the sort of bare bones form for scientific method. If you have you taken science classes at BMCC?
No science. No.
Okay, so science isn't required.
No, not for my major, which is political science. Well,
Science.
uh, I have
Now
not
there you
had.
go. Now this is important.
Okay.
Your major is political science, right?
Right.
Now, what you might want to be thinking in the background is how this applies to uh, your specialty.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. But at some point, if you learn this well, this little part here, if you learn this well, then at some point, the light bulb is going to go on when you're doing your major problems in your major in your curricular major.
Okay.
Political science.
Yes.
It's about having a belief and then trying it out to see if it's right. If the belief requires certain things to be true and they're not true, then guess what? Your belief's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's very useful. You don't have to go in your intuitions. Like, you really want a certain plan to work, right? You think that it would be nice if government could provide an income for everybody, a basic income for everybody, so there wouldn't be poor people around. That sounds like a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
right? But think about what's required for that to happen. For example, you'd have to have enough money. The government would have to have enough money to be able to do that, right?
Yep.
So if P, then Q. If you're going to have, if you're going to end hopelessness, if you're going to eliminate homelessness, for example, E requires M, money. And guess what? If the government, if not M is true, or not enough M is true, then what?
No P.
Well, that's right. So that means no elimination of homelessness.
Yep.
In other words, it costs something to provide social programs. If you can't come up with the money, then it's not going to happen.
Yep.
Or that CUNY should be tuition and should be cost free, including all sorts of equipment that you need, like pens and papers and computers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Same thing. We should be able to have school because it's our right to be educated. Okay, right then. Okay, if that's the case, then somebody's going to have to pay for it. And if there's not enough money, then guess what? It can't be free.
Right.
So this has a really important and obvious application.
Yeah.
And now we know, or we have some sense of modus ponens and modus tollens. Are we good so far?
Yeah. Yes. Better for sure.
Okay. So I think we should go through all six of them just in a sort of basic way.
All right. Yep.
Um,
I'm gonna stay on the dock, right?
let's go back to.
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see how we do this. Can you go back to your?
Absolutely, I'm there.
Yeah. Okay.
The learning
So
session.
do you see anything? Do you see page 227 now?
Oh no, I don't see your
Okay,
screen.
hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get back there. Hold on.
Uh-huh.
Okay. This is really cool, isn't it? Okay, here, learning session. Okay. Close. Okay, has scheduled with you a new session. Okay. Are we? Okay, stop sharing. Share screen. Have we stopped sharing yet?
I didn't get any notice to share that you're sharing.
Okay, are we back to our whiteboard?
Yes, I'm back there.
Okay, So you can see my screen?
I can. I can see the whiteboard, not your screen. I didn't get
Okay.
a share. I didn't get a
You haven't gotten out
notification.
of sharing yet. Okay, this is such a mess. Okay. So there's no place where it says stop sharing. That's my problem here. Unless it's down below where I'm not now.
Want me to share my screen and then we can switch? See if that works.
Okay.
All right, let me try that. Share screen. I'm gonna say entire screen. Share. Um, I'm sharing my screen. You see it?
Right, I do.
Okay.
Okay, I
So
see me. That's what I look like. Okay. Um
now. I'm going to stop sharing so you can share. Okay. See if that works.
okay.
All right. So let's see if I stop now.
Okay, I've got it here. But I still
I said stop. Did it stop? Okay.
right, it did not.
I lost you.
Can you see my face now?
Now I don't see you anymore. It says error occurred too. I don't
Okay.
see you
Maybe
anymore.
our session has ended. So
So I'll go back in there. We'll leave the session and I'll come back.
yeah, let's leave the session and we can come back.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
All right.
Can you hear me? David? David? I don't hear you, but you can hear me. I can't hear you. That's weird. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? David? I don't know. Okay, I can't hear you though. I can't see or hear you. Oh, okay. That's weird. So what do you want to do? I can't see you. I can't see anything. I can't see you. I don't know. I'm going to leave. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Leave. Let's see. Oh, okay. Are you there? I don't know. Okay. Hello?